Hello and welcome to Next 2.0 on WQLN PBS NPR. Next is produced by the Public's Voice Media. I'm your host, Marcus Atkinson. If you want to know more about Next 2.0, you can go to Facebook and like the page. You can follow us on Instagram at Next 2.0 Erie. There you can keep up with upcoming show promos, events, and clips about what's next for our communities and our democracy. Thank you so much for tuning in. And now, on to the show.
So welcome to the program, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Chuck.
And Renee Lamis is also here with us. She is the mayor's chief of staff. And so I kind of want to start by just kind of asking you about where life, how you got here and why. So you've been mayor for 7 years now?
I'm in my 8th year, yes.
And during a time nationally that things are happening, not just nationally but locally as well, and internationally, that have huge implications for the future. And politics has become as contentious and stressful and exhausting as I can remember in my entire lifetime. So my question is, why do you want to keep doing this? It's kind of a what the heck is wrong with you, Joe?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, Chuck, I love what I'm doing. Yeah. And I really think my team and I, we're making a very positive impact in Erie. We've done a lot in the first 7+ years now. And I really believe if I get reelected, that we'll get double the amount done in the next 4 years because we know what we're doing now. We've built a great team together. I'm really blessed with great people working for me that do good work. They communicate with me and we talk. And they have some great ideas, and we talk about things, and we almost never disagree on anything, but we move Erie forward, and that's what we're committed to doing, make Erie a better place. We also want to bring, one of our major goals is bringing more people back to Erie. When I was a kid growing up here, we had 140,000 people that lived in Erie, and 12th Street was incredible. It was the first year, I was in the seminary studying to be a Catholic priest from freshman year of high school to sophomore year of college, 6 years. But when I left there, I applied for a job on West 12th. There were 5 jobs I was offered. And the one I took was at 12th and Liberty. And it was just a great job. I really enjoyed it. And when it came time for me to go back to school, I thought, I'd like to keep doing this, but I can't work full time. I talked to them. They let me work part-time while I was at school. So it was a great experience.
Good place to live.
Thank you.
In those days.
Yes, it was.
So, and I kind of knew the answer to that question because you and I have known each other for a while.
Yes.
And your energy and enthusiasm are kind of the mark of you as a person and of your mayoralship. But there's so much to talk about. And so Absolutely. I want to talk about, we're going to start off with what you talked about when you came into office the first time. You famously said that you wanted to be known for ridding Erie of racism or something like that.
Absolutely.
Which, we all kind of know is an aspirational goal where racism is so deeply entrenched in the attitudes of Americans that you're not going to eradicate it. But let me ask you a couple of questions about that. First is, what have you found most difficult in pursuing that particular goal?
I think finding good people to come in. Now, we have found a lot of them that are women and minorities, and that's kind of always a priority with me. Or when I'm interviewing people for a job, if there's a woman or a minority that's very good at it, they come in. And in the last year or so here, we've added two minorities. Saeed Taraki, who came here a little over 2 years ago from across the ocean, and he is doing great work. And the other one is
Brother D.
Yeah, Brother D. He is incredible, and they're both doing very great work. I talk to him at least once a week, usually more than that, and they're doing great work here in Erie, and we'll keep moving that forward. Because one of the things I want is for everyone in Erie to feel accepted for who they are, regardless of the color of their skin, their gender, their nationality, their religion. None of that matters. We're all human beings. Let's work together.
So you would not be a proponent of the doing away with DEI kinds of stuff?
I would not. Absolutely not. I'll fight that as much as I can because we need that sort of thing here in Erie.
So you're bringing in people of all kinds, which is a start in terms of working with broadening people's views of other people and breaking down racism.
Yes.
How have you put meat on the bones of this idea other than that?
Other
what
than
kinds of
hiring
projects
people?
or programs are we doing to deal with race?
Yeah, we have a lot of good projects and programs. We try to invest a lot of money now on the east side of Erie, east of State Street, because that's the area that was kind of down the most. And when I was a kid growing up here, there was 140,000 people living in Erie. I lived on the west side. I don't think I got across State Street until I was in my 20s. And then when I got there, I'm like, why didn't I come over here before? This is a nice place. It's a good place. And there was a lot going on, including right here on Parade Street.
Yeah.
It went downhill, but now it's being turned around. And there's a lot going on the east side. Erie Insurance is doing a lot to improve the east side. We're heading in a good direction. We want to keep it going. We just want to get it faster, moving forward, faster going forward.
Yeah, and I would just add that, back in 2020, we released the Activating Our Vision report, in which we set several benchmarks for things that we thought, if we could achieve these, we'd be heading in the right direction. Such as the Municipal Equality Index. When the mayor first took office, we only had a 34 as a city. And the last 3 years, thanks to the policies, programs, and initiatives that we've implemented, we've achieved 100. That's the highest score you can get.
So tell me a little bit more about the index itself.
Yeah, so the index is, it's a human rights campaign, evaluates 506 cities on their policies, programs, initiatives as they relate to LGBTQ community. And so there were a lot of things that we implemented in terms of minority contractors, to ensure that we are being inclusive, that we're being welcoming of our LGBTQ community members, to ensure that there's not discrimination. And so we worked really hard with our mayor's LGBTQ council to implement those programs and have, like I said, achieved 100 the last 2 years, which is the highest score you can get. We actually last year had 111 points, thanks to some of our extra bonus. But that's an achievement. We also got the certified welcoming status through Welcoming America, which was very important to us.
Which has to do with immigration.
Immigrants and refugees that are coming here to start a new life. We work with our refugee resettlement agencies and our community partners to ensure that there are systems and programs in place to help them to find jobs, to purchase homes, to start businesses, and working together, we were able to get that status. We hired a full-time recruitment coordinator for the police department. Because one of the things that we found, we hire through civil service, and so you have to take people in the order in which they scored on the test. But what we found was that there were not a lot of women and minorities taking the test. And so we specifically recruited more women, more minorities, and as a result, since 2021, 27% of those we've hired have been women and minorities.
Right.
So those are, some of the ways that there are a lot more. We can't even talk about
I'm sure you can't
all those
in
today.
an hour.
Yeah.
Yes.
You hit on a couple of things there that I want to talk about a little bit more. One is the immigration issue, and one of the flashpoints nationally is the issue of immigration. People are being deported, some for no apparent reason.
Yes.
I know some folks who work at Gannon, and Gannon being the university in town that has the most foreign students, and they're very concerned. They have let it be known that over 30, maybe as many as 37 or 38 students have had their visas pulled already. They expect more of that to come. Some of those students are on campus in classes, but some of those students are in a program that sends them out in kind of like internship things, work programs, not only in Erie, but around the country. So they have, and they're still being shepherded by the folks at Gannon. So Gannon has a big concern about this. Suspect that the rest of us do as well. How is this deportation program affecting the city, if at all, at this point, which has, 20% of the population-ish is new Americans?
Yes.
And to my way of thinking, those new Americans made the city better.
Absolutely.
I
agree.
How is it affecting us at this point? And it might not be a major impact, but
I don't think it is a major impact right now. We're certainly not paying attention to that. Our police, if there's somebody that's violated laws somewhere else and they get stopped here for going through a traffic light or a stop sign or something, and we find out that they were, say, maybe in New Mexico, they had done this violation and the police there are still looking for them, we'll turn them over to them. And then we're done. We don't do anything more beyond that. If we happen to stop somebody, check them out, and find out they've broken the law somewhere, we'll refer it. But we don't do anything else.
Yeah, there's no coordination with Border Patrol or ICE or anything like that. We don't, they don't ask us for cooperation on finding people with expired visas, right? Where the issue, I think, has occurred is, as the mayor said, if somebody gets pulled over for a routine traffic stop, and we find out in the course of that, checking their ID, that they're wanted someplace else by another jurisdiction, there are reciprocal arrangements in place.
And that would be the same as if they were born here and lived here 60 years. If you've committed a crime elsewhere, we send you back there.
Right.
So that's not an immigration issue in particular.
Right.
And I think most Americans don't have a problem with folks who've committed crimes being treated as such. Yes. What they have a problem with is when you have a young person, a student who's done nothing, who's getting deported, and we're kind of short-sighted about the positive things that immigrants bring to our cities.
Yeah, we've had about 5,000 come since 2018.
Yeah, that's
and they get jobs, they're paying taxes, they pay back the funding that they're given to come here.
Yeah.
And they're enriching our culture.
No doubt about it.
They're giving back to our community.
And they're among the hardest working because they want to build a better life. That's why they came here.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
We welcome everyone that comes here.
Yeah, and the whole silliness about them committing more crimes than everybody else. They're bringing a crime wave.
No.
It's absolutely the opposite.
You're
because
right.
they don't want to get visible. They want to stay
I totally agree with you.
Anonymous and just do their thing and make a better world for their kids.
Thank you.
I want to stay with that for 1 second. Is there anything else that you see that the city can do educationally, sanctuary-wise, that helps to protect these folks?
One of the things we've become is a certified welcoming city.
Yeah.
And we're known that way internationally. And so people know they can come here, they'll be welcome. We help them move in the right direction and do really great things here. We're really proud of that. And the Erie Police Department does not work at all with ICE, as I mentioned earlier. Unless we have somebody that violated a law, we turn it over to them. And again, we welcome everyone here. Yeah. It doesn't matter the color of their skin, there's sexual orientation, whether they're a man or a woman, whether they're black or white. Those are such minor differences. We're all human beings. Let's recognize that and work together.
Yeah.
We do, the police department and the fire department both. We have relationships with the refugee resettlement agencies and the New American communities. When we have new arrivals, we do orientation sessions. Yeah. This is how you contact the police if you need help.
Great.
Depending on how things were in their country, you do not need to bribe us. You don't need to be afraid of us. This is how things work. This is how you can reach out to us. We have a lot of community policing initiatives and then fire outreach that we do to make people aware and more comfortable. And I think that that's really helped, especially in recent years.
I was going door to door on the east side of Erie yesterday evening, and we went to one house where there was an African-American man and an African-American woman lived there, and they bought the house next to them actually burned down. That was torn down. They bought that, and so they own that now. And they still have some work they need to do on it to improve it. And I referred them to the right person at the city of Erie. I said, call this person tomorrow. Tell them I told you to call them. And let's see what we can do to help you get a fence up, to make this lawn better, and to make the whole neighborhood better. That's what we want to do.
Cool. So let's turn to housing. Two issues I think that we'll want to talk about. First is that nationally, there's a huge housing crisis and just a major shortage of housing. So how is Erie trying to address the shortage of housing problem, which has implications for rents being higher than a lot of people can afford, and implications for things like lifting minority communities out of poverty because generational wealth begins with being able to own a house. So are there any initiatives, programs that are being implemented in Erie?
Yes, there are. And, again, when we were 140,000 people, there were people all over Erie, people working all over Erie. And as they left over time, now we had a lot of houses go way downhill. So we've had a large number of them torn down. They're just empty lots. And we've been talking over the last year or so saying, hey, we tore these down, but people next door often buy them and it becomes their yard, but we want to bring more people back into Erie. So we just started a program. I think we've put like $1 million into this, and we're going to help people build a home at relatively low expense to them. And when we build a new home, their real estate payments won't go up for 10 years. So they'll still pay as if it was an empty lot and build up and pay off their loan. And so we hope to have 2 or 3 of those started this year.
Great.
And we've had 2 applications already for that program, which is very, very exciting.
Yeah.
And if that moves forward like we think it will, we'll do that more going forward throughout Erie. And again, bring more people and businesses back into Erie.
Yeah. Which is so important for tax base, which then leads to
Absolutely
having more money for education.
Yes.
So it's not just about tearing down the blighted homes.
That's right. That's right.
And using those properties as a yard. It's about bringing people back into the city.
Yes.
We also put $15 million of our ARP funding into housing through the Redevelopment Authority for healthy homes initiatives, rehabs, new productions. That's working. We also put funding into hands to develop new affordable housing, and we're working on a housing strategy. We just started. We got the funding allocated last year by City Council in this year's budget, so we could hire a consultant to help us look at each neighborhood and identify where the gaps are with affordable housing, workforce housing, market rate, or permanent supportive housing, and then design a strategy and start creating capital stacks to implement projects. So we have several community partners that we're working with on some different projects, and we look forward to working on that in the third term.
So I've heard different things, and not living in the city, I don't know as much, which, by the way, is why I'm doing this interview, because I can't vote for you or for Daria. So
that's okay.
And Marcus has interest in business in the city, and so he, unlike many people, he has decided not to be part of this because he doesn't want to be influenced one way or the other by what we do here. To go back to the ARP thing for a minute, are you satisfied with how the ARP money was distributed?
Yes, we are very, very happy with that, and we're still moving forward with it as well.
Can you tell me a little bit about how it was distributed and what were the criteria?
One of the things we did is we had about $6.25 million that we could lend out to people through Chris Groner, and he's up that now to $25 million.
Wow.
In that, and a lot of that has been money that we received, and instead we figured out a way. It took some work and effort to get to here. We figured out a way that we could recycle that and give it to one person, they pay it back over time, give it to another person, and keep growing it because they pay a little bit of interest with it too. I think it's usually like 1%. It's not a lot. But we're really, we've already got it to 25 million. I'd like to see it maybe 50 million when we're done, and that's still there. And I'm hoping the next administration will take over from us on that.
Who are you loaning this money to?
We basically loan it to people that need the money to do it, are going to build a new house. That's a big part of it, or are going to make improvements to existing houses. Sometimes that's pretty expensive because the house could be really run down, and you want to get that put back together.
Sometimes
so that's the $15 million for housing. But then we also had $20 million for economic and community development of the ARP funding. And so, like the mayor said, some of it went into grants, some of it went into revolving loan funds. And like you said, we had to figure that out early on because that was not part of the U.S. Treasury's plan. Initially, when we said we wanted to create revolving loan funds, they said, well, any money that's paid back, you're going to have to give back to Treasury. And we were like, well, we're not giving any money back. So
Yes.
it took us several
Yes.
months to
Yes.
figure it out, but we finally figured out a strategy. And so, like the mayor said, I mean, we have now these sustainable tools going forward. So the 20 million in economic community development, has gone to businesses that are creating or retaining family sustaining jobs. And so we've seen a lot of success with that. And in fact, Chris Groner is at the Federal Reserve of Philadelphia this week speaking on this very topic, because a lot of communities just spent the money. They used it as revenue replacement, from lost revenue from COVID, or they granted it.
Yeah.
And now they're facing a fiscal cliff.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we're not, because we didn't do that. So.
Yeah. And another great thing we're doing right now is we're trying to build a 50-unit development home for people. There's about 150 people now here in Erie that have been on the streets for over a year. They usually have a place they can sleep overnight, then they're on the street through the day until they can get back into the place to sleep. So we want to create a place they can live at no cost to them. And we'll have people there helping them turn their lives around and learn how to do a business and do well at it. And maybe eventually after a year or so, they move out and we get other people in there.
Yeah.
So that would at least, it's going to attack a third of the people who have been on the streets for over a year. And we're going to start getting them back into homes, back into businesses. And we will have a lot of people working hard at making this happen. We look forward to that.
So that's being funded by the ARP money?
We have we were given 2.9 million in home ARP, which was separate. So that's part of the capital stack. We've been part of the Infinite Erie project. And I was part of the team that interviewed CHN Housing Partners out of Cleveland, and they're the ones that'll be doing the 50-unit complex.
Is it an apartment building kind of thing?
Yes,
it's an
absolutely.
apartment
Because
building.
I had heard about tiny homes maybe being built here, but
No, this is an actual apartment building. We visited some of their apartments in Cleveland, and extremely impressed with what they're doing there. They have security. They have people making sure that they're taking their medication, that they're going to their appointments. They have all the services right there that people can take advantage of. Sometimes you just need that support to be able to stay stably housed. And it's permanent. It's permanent supportive housing. If they need to stay there, if they want to stay there, that's an option.
Yes.
If they want to, if they get stable and they want to move into their own place, then that's an option too. But those are a lot of the things that we don't have right now that we need, more options for people.
yeah, absolutely. And that's compassionate government is an important aspect. And I suspect that whether it's you or Daria, that will be part of the movement going forward. But it's so nice to be in a city where that's the thing.
Yes.
You can just kind of count on the fact that people are going to try to do their best with making good programs for people who need. So here we sit on the east side in the building of the East Erie Renaissance. What's happening on the east side with housing and business loans and that kind of thing? And I just answer that first. Then I have a follow-up.
The east side is the area that has the most need, and it has for a long, long time. And we've really been focusing on it. We've been sending people in during the summer. I think we're like in our third year now, maybe fourth year this year.
Love your block.
Of Love Your Block, choosing an area, helping people. If they don't have an address, we put an address up for them in their house. If they need cleaned up, we help clean it up. I think we've taken like 180,000 of
Pounds of garbage.
Pounds of garbage out,
Yep.
and nobody has to pay for that. We look at it, we clean up the area. So we do that one area at a time, and we'll continue to do that going forward as well. We're really, really proud of that, doing that.
Great.
Yeah, in fact, that started as a pilot program. We got a $100,000 grant from Bloomberg Philanthropies.
Yes.
And, over the course of the last 3 years, we accumulated all these great outcomes and applied for congressional appropriations under Senator Casey for $1 million from HUD. And we were awarded that. So now we'll be able to expand. It's been completely focused on the east side these last 3 years, but we're getting requests from other parts of the city within the urban core that also need help. And, we realized there are so many people that need assistance,
Yeah.
and more than those mini grants could provide. Those
Yes.
were grants of $600. So under this new program, we'll be able to do up to 20,000. So for people who need
20,000 people?
$20,000, up to $20,000 grants to do, roofs.
For whatever neighborhood
gutters.
it might happen to be.
Yeah.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yes.
So you have these little organizations around, this being one of them,
Yes.
and East Erie, East Side Renaissance is doing some great work here on Parade Street, and I know you know about that.
Yes.
And there are other groups like this around. Are these the kind of groups that get money from ARP or?
Absolutely. We fund them. We really appreciate what they're doing, and we want to continue funding them as well.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and sometimes it's grants and sometimes it's loans. Sometimes it's 0% interest.
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
sometimes it's a mix.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I pastored in Fairview for 35 years, and when people we started some programs there that people were not sure we should start because they had to do with helping people in poverty, and people said, "This is Fairview. There's no poverty out here." And they were wrong.
Yeah. Look around.
It's kind of everywhere.
Yes,
and
it is.
One of the things that we did that we found to be terrific help to people was we started a revolving loan program. And so for a little church to put thousands of dollars out there in the community every year, almost all of which got paid back along the way, and it was no interest, but it did a lot of good. So
Very good.
those kinds of programs make a lot of sense to me.
That's great.
In regards to housing and money going into fostering businesses, there is the issue of gentrification, and I've only really become more aware of this in the last couple of years. To those who say that when we build up particular areas, and I know this has been leveled at Erie Insurance, that we are kind of pushing out the people who live there and they have no place to go. How do you address that? Is gentrification a problem in Erie?
I guess I don't think it is. I mean, it could occur sometimes, but we certainly aren't trying to move people that are poor to someplace worse for them. No, we don't want to do that.
Yeah,
And
we're trying to help them by
Yes.
providing resources to them to fix
Absolutely.
up their properties. I mean, that's what our focus has been,
Yes.
not on moving people out, but in
No.
helping them stay where they're at.
And
A
improving
lot,
their neighborhood.
Yeah, a lot of the
Improving it.
folks that need help are seniors who want to stay in their homes,
Yeah.
but can't afford, to make the repairs, can't
And
do them
can't do them
physically.
themselves, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we provide funding to the to buy the materials, to have volunteers do the work depending on what the work is, or if it's skilled, then we will contract with carpenters, roofers,
Yes.
to do the work for them,
Yeah.
so that they can stay where they're at.
Yeah, I'm never trying to move people out of where they are now. I'm trying to make it better for them to be
Yeah.
more comfortable living
Yeah.
there.
And then the
Yes.
LRTA, we have the 10-year LRTA, so even though
Yes.
they're making those improvements, they won't have to worry about their taxes going up for 10 years.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. Very good.
I guess I don't know the city as well as some of the other folks that don't live here. So as you look ahead to the next 4 years, what do you see as the issues that need to be addressed other than what we've already talked about?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it is I think we've already talked about this, but just accepting other people who may look a little different than you, be a different color skin, be male, female. You should accept everyone as a human being who has something to offer and work with them. And we've got to build that relationship with people because some people. One of the things for me, I think I've been to over 500 homes so far for this election, talking to people, and I go only to houses where people always vote. And we'll be doing more of that. Doing actually more of that tonight, and going forward until on the 20th when we vote on this. But we're really, really impressed with what people are doing. We're trying to help them. Again, trying to build a relationship. I give a lot of people my cell phone number. I mean, they're kind of surprised when I do it. But I say, hey, if you want to talk to me, call this number. If I can't answer, it's because I'm in a meeting. But
We've already established that you're crazy.
Thank you. I'll take that designation because I am. I'm crazy about doing what's best for Erie.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to do that.
Cool. I interviewed a woman a couple of months ago named Monica Tourneau, and Monica is the head of a program out of Austin, Texas, called Undocumented Stories. Long story, but long story short, she came to this country from Guatemala 27 years ago, recognized the need to introduce people to immigrants and to help them to understand who they are and why they came. And so she started a program taking people around to churches where they would speak, undocumented folks, and creating pathways to citizenship and so forth. And it had tremendous success, so much so that she became a national thing.
Wow.
And one of the things that she talked about on the program was just the importance of finding ways to connect business leaders, especially with immigrants. And she said that's particularly a thing now because she can't continue to do the undocumented stories thing because she exposes people that way and they come and sweep them up. But she's been going around to business people. But the thing is, a lot of business people already get it. Is there any, I don't know if there are any mechanisms or not in the city politically that can be used to find ways to make people understand just what these people have brought to us in the city of Erie.
Yes.
We use our social media regularly, social media, press releases to communicate the strength that diversity brings and how they're enriching our community and filling vacant jobs and vacant storefronts and bringing so much to our community. They're, like I said earlier, they're paying taxes.
Yeah.
They're paying back the money that they were provided to become self-sustaining, self-sufficient. We also connect new arrivals with businesses through Saeed Taraki and Brother D and Chris Groner. We work together. We have a cohort that we've developed to help those who are more entrepreneurial mindset and want to start businesses, to let them know kind of this is the path that you need to take. This is what we need to help you, either with grants or loans, to be able to start your business. So that we have a lot of different things that we've put in place to help them become self-sufficient so they can stay here.
That. Continue to improve any way we can to make it better.
Right.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I appreciate in political leadership is honesty and a willingness to have some self-awareness. As you look at the services, so you know that the difficult question coming.
That's okay. That's okay.
As you look at the services that the city provides to its citizens at this point, where are the gaps that you think need to be filled? What's missing, and what plans might we have for those areas?
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing we're trying to do is eliminate racism. And I know that's a difficult thing to do. It's been existed for centuries here, but that's my goal as mayor. I want to eliminate racism. I want people to understand just because your skin's a little different color or your gender's different or your church is different, it doesn't matter. We're all human beings. You can relate. You don't necessarily have to agree with everybody on everything. But if you disagree, just do it politely and say, "Hey, I'm not going to do that one, but we'll keep talking."
Yeah, there's so much to talk about there, and I really love that about your approach to things.
Thank you.
I
was just going to say a part of that, is fostering that diversity, equity, and inclusion, and ensuring that people have access to the services that we do provide. Because one of the things that we found out is even though he does a press conference every week on our different services and resources, people aren't seeing it. They're probably not listening to this either. But so that's why we've been so intentional about, between our community liaisons and also the advisory councils that we created, that we're getting information out to the various communities about the resources that exist. They're bringing us information back about where there are gaps and what we need to be doing differently. And so, in addition to all this, it's, more jobs, more housing, improvements to parks. That's something that we're working on right now. We just started a Parks and Rec plan, citywide Parks and Rec plan. So all summer long, we'll be going to residents to ask for their input on priorities. We've already got over $4 million set aside that we will leverage to apply for grants. And then the housing strategy, looking at adding more housing. So I think all those things are critical for people to, like you said, home ownership is so important for folks. And
starting with the basics. Get them to be able to buy a home.
Exactly.
Yes, definitely.
So what would you say I know from a couple of years ago, I had a friend and we wanted to start a community garden on the east side. And that didn't work out, but it led me to learning a whole lot about the east side more than, because I was like you, Joe. I lived on the west side. There's an east side?
Yeah, right.
But there are some spots on the east side that are kind of like food deserts. Are there any ways that we can incentivize companies to bring in a grocery store, or to start like Stephanie Seiner has done on the east side to do more community gardening where we can be providing produce to the neighborhood and that kind of thing?
Yes, I think that is increasing already. We're fully supporting that as well. More places are growing food, making it available to people, and we want to continue doing that for sure.
I can't remember how many truckloads of compost we gave away last year
Really?
to help.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Use that.
Oh, it's free. Well, you're not a city resident. You need to move back into the city, Chuck. The UECDC reached out. They had a number of new American families who wanted to start gardens, and they had bought Burton School.
Oh yeah.
And in the interim, to turn the entire yard into gardens. And they kept saying, "Can you bring one more truckload? Can you bring one more truckload?" And I never got the final tally, but it was a lot of compost. And it was wonderful to see everything growing there last fall.
Cool.
Yes.
Looking forward to doing that again this year.
Very nice, for sure.
It's a difficult media market these days. And so if you want to get messages out, if you want people to know what's going on, how are you approaching media differently than you did, say, 7 or 8 years ago when you started?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been open to the media, and I've learned a lot in the first 7 years. So
I never thought transparency was an issue with you. You're fairly transparent.
It is. I am very transparent.
But I think in terms of getting the message out, let's face it, Joe, you and I are of a generation that's not particularly media savvy when it comes to social media. So how are we accomplishing getting our word out?
I'm lucky because I have a lot of much younger people than me on my team telling me what to do.
Have you hired any 12-year-olds?
I have heard from 12-year-olds going door to door, actually, yes. I really welcome that. I welcome all the input.
I think our communications department, we have, a communications director, a digital media and design coordinator, and then, like I said, we have our Brother D and Saeed Taraki, who are ensuring that the message gets out to the community. We have our citizen response center that's regularly getting questions, and we're getting answers out. We do the press conference every week, but then we're doing press releases. We're communicating through we have several advisory councils that we created: the New American Advisory Council, the Strengthening Police Community Partnerships Council, the Hispanic Latina Advisory Council. I'll forget some. We have a Labor Roundtable, a Disability Roundtable, a Business Council. And so we're always trying to get the information out through them, then get it out to the community. As part of our New American Council, all the refugee resettlement agencies are represented on there, so they're getting it to the new arrivals. And we go door to door.
Yeah, that's
that's
a thing.
When we first started Love Your Block, it was very difficult to get people to apply for money for grants from the city.
Yes.
They're like, "What? Like, is this a scam?" And we had to go door to door.
That's when it first started too. We went door to door on the Lower East Side and talked and listened and talked and took notes and we acted on those things.
So that kind of goes to what we're talking about. It's not just about being on TikTok or whatever.
No.
The door-to-door thing makes a huge difference. When the mayor knocks on your door, you
some people are very surprised to see me, but
I would guess they are. And
it works good.
I wonder what the percentage of people is who are saying, Who's this guy? I don't know this guy. But anyway.
I never have to tell people my name.
Oh,
when I walk up to their door, they say, Mayor Schember, what are you doing here?
Good.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of a strategy
Yeah.
for getting the word out and for communicating and for lifting the spirits of the community, that kind of thing.
One of the things we've done is we've reinstated things that were disconnected 20, 15 years ago. You know, the crisis unit, which existed and is important, the juvenile unit, the canine unit. We've started all those back up again. We've also deployed body-worn cameras for our police. We've made a lot of changes to the police. Shot spotter. That basically, if there's shots going on in downtown, they find out about it because there's video up that recognizes these and passes them along, and they react very quickly. They usually get to the place the shooting is occurring while the people are still there, and arrest them if it's necessary. So we also have 38 frontline vehicles that have plate readers on them. So they can read the plates of any car and know who owns this, what is it, is this anything to be concerned about. All violent crime in Erie is down pretty significantly also. The number of decreased homicides have decreased 57%, over half. And our shootings are down by 67%. The number of shootings happening in Erie now. My goal is to get that to zero. I don't know whether I'll do it or not, but I'll keep doing that. We also, in the last 3 years, we've solved 100% of the homicides that occurred in Erie. The people that did the shooting or killing are now in jail. We also expanded the Police Athletic League and the Community Outreach Program for cops. When I took office, there were 35 students involved at one school with 6 officers involved. Now we have 1,700 students involved. They're in 29 locations across Erie, and there's 120 officers now that work closely with them. And they've built relationships with, and they know each other as friends.
Good program.
Thank you.
So I kind of have an attitude about crime that suggests that you can't just eliminate crime by buying bigger weapons and having more police, and there's a certain level of comfort in that, and you certainly don't want to have too few. But is there a bigger sort of comprehensive strategy other than just funding police that the city has for dealing with crime?
Yeah, there's a lot more to it. The police are a big part of it, certainly, and they're very good. I love what they're doing. They're doing the right things, not anything wrong or anything that's going to cause problems going forward. They're correcting a lot of things.
But the crisis unit and the juvenile unit are more prevention based. It's to get to people who are in crisis, who are experiencing a breakdown, who have addiction issues, mental behavioral health issues, and to get them the services and the support they need rather than getting them into the criminal justice system.
Right. So if you have a person who's causing trouble on the street, your first option isn't to shoot them.
Right. Well, yeah, or even arrest them. I mean, if somebody is addicted to a substance, whatever that substance is, just arresting them and putting them in jail temporarily doesn't solve the problem.
Right.
And so, I think that's what crisis is working so hard. The crisis car is working so hard to do, and it was so successful when it existed previously that there were calls to bring it back. And then the juvenile unit is the same thing. I mean, they're working with the Erie School District Police. They're working with juvenile probation. They're trying to put kids into diversionary programs to offer them a way out. And working with Unified Erie, if you're familiar with Unified Erie and the three-pronged approach, we're working on prevention, enforcement when we have to, and then reentry. Yeah. And so that's kind of the overarching umbrella that we work through.
Yeah, a comprehensive program.
Yeah,
it is.
I want to ask what you think going forward as you look at the next 4 years. What's the biggest issue? And the idea that we're going to continue to work on race and the isms, I know is central to who you guys are as a mayor and as an administration. Yes. But what's one big practical issue that you would like to solve that is out there?
I would like to have every person in Erie open to every other person in Erie and really listen to them, try to help other people, don't criticize other people, But if they're doing something wrong, make some suggestions to them. Hey, it would be better if you did this and this. What about that? Why don't you do that?
You should have been a priest, Joe.
I studied for 6 years to be a priest. I was in the seminary 6 years.
You and I could be partners, compatriots.
Sounds good.
Colleagues.
I like it. I like it.
I would just add, I think, the other big thing that we've been working on that we haven't talked about yet is the financial stability of the city.
Oh,
And, we when he first took office in 2018, and we developed the city's first 5-year budget and saw the projections, there were projected 11 million, 17 million, and $23 million deficits. And, a lot of people said, you need to just declare Act 47. And we were, not willing to do that. And, that's one of the reasons he was elected, because of his financial background. And so we developed a 5-year financial management plan and set to work implementing it. And as a result, we turned a lot of those surpluses, those deficits into surpluses, and haven't raised taxes in 6 years. Haven't had to use the prepayment of the water lease the last 2 years. We still have funding left from that. But we did it by increasing alternative sources of revenue, by expanding the tax base, and by doing a bunch of things very creatively. And we're working on our second 5-year financial management plan now. But, there will always be deficits on paper, but the city is really in its strongest financial footing in decades.
absolutely.
And, there are 11 criteria for a city to
Yes.
be brought into Act 47 by the Commonwealth. The city doesn't meet even one of those.
Okay, good.
So,
Thinking about that, one of the questions on my list was, what is your economic plan for the next few years? And if you're working on it right now, it's probably uppermost in your thinking. So what kinds of things are in your economic plan going forward?
We really want to grow Erie, bring more people back, because we lost a lot of people over the last 70 years or so here.
Yeah.
But we want to start growing, get back well over 100,000 residents here. And part of that is what we mentioned earlier with the new houses that we're going to be building and make easy for people. The people that are going to live there are the ones that get it started, and we help them every way we can, make it as easy as possible. And like we said earlier, there's no price increase to them for 10 years. They get to live there and just pay for the lot that they bought and built on. So we're really, really excited about that. And we didn't know how the response would be when we announced this a week or two ago. And we have at least 2 people already that have applied to do this. And we're very, very excited about that. And we hope this moves forward. And then future years, we do a lot more of it.
yeah, and I think then to continue a lot of the things we started. I mean, all this is part of our 12-year strategy.
Yes,
When he first
absolutely.
was elected, when he first ran, he said it was going to take 3 terms to do everything. And so, from the LRTA, to the revolving loan funds and the grants and the $120 million in grants that we've gotten through the federal and state government. I mean, that funding alone has helped so much to kind of bridge the gap until the 10-year LRTA starts to roll off. It's enabled us to get, when he took office and we toured the fire stations, like there was so much deferred maintenance. And just in terms of infrastructure in the city, like the stormwater, the pipes were starting to crumble. They're 100-year-old clay pipes. And they're underground, so nobody pays attention. But like all these things that we've been able to get grants to do in the interim until we get some additional revenue coming in, that's a huge help. But it's all part of a multifaceted strategy. And then, like I said, we've increased revenue by the jobs that have been created in the city. I think we have over 2.5 million in additional revenue from the additional jobs that have been created since 2021.
That's right. Yep.
One of the conversations nationally has been, and this grew out of the most recent national election cycle with 2 old men running for office. And So you're a little bit older.
Yes.
You're 74?
74, correct.
74, so
Yes.
you'll be 78, 79 at the end of your
I
term.
do 79 at the end, yes.
So what do you say to people who say maybe Joe's getting a little too old for this?
I mean, they're saying maybe. They don't really know me.
Well, let me say, you're getting too old for this. How do you respond to that? I'm not saying that, but
That's okay, no problem. I would say I totally disagree with you.
Okay.
I think I'm more qualified now than I've ever been to do this job as mayor and really transform Erie. And that's my whole purpose in life.
yeah.
And there's only one person in Erie that gets mad at me now about once a week. It's
Your
my
wife.
wife, because I'm never home enough for her.
Yeah.
But she understands what I'm doing, and I've promised her that at the end of the third term, I will be home with her all the time. But up to then, I'm going to be out a lot.
She may be less excited about that than she is now. That you're going to be home all the time.
Well, that's possible, I guess, yes.
So what about the last 7 years has made you a better mayor now than you were?
I've learned a lot. I've learned a ton, especially right at the very beginning. You know, when we came in, we were learning and who should be doing what, what's the best way to do this. We've gotten much better at that, and we're good at hiring good people now. We've been interviewing people for another position here. We've already interviewed 2. It could be either of those 2, and there's a third one we may interview. So we love the people that are applying, and we want to pick good people who are going to help us move forward.
Yeah. What's this new position?
It's
not
a
new.
vacancy. It's our
Oh,
event
okay.
manager.
Vacant,
It's
but
our
it's not a
event
new
manager.
position,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, I don't want to talk about race or racism or bringing people together that way.
Okay.
Because we've kind of said that's the ethos that you
Yes.
bring to the table. Other than that, what would you say is your signature achievement over the last 7 years?
My best achievement over the last 7 years.
That's tough.
I think one thing is that we've brought in 120 million in grants, and that, again, that's money we don't have to pay back. And I don't think any previous mayor to me could claim to do anything even close to that.
Why do you think that is? Why have you been more successful?
We've had a couple people working full time on this, and it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but they're very good. Renee's one of them. They're very good at writing things well, and when it gets to either the state or the federal government for approval, people have to approve it because this is great. It's really well done, and we get great feedback about it, and we want to continue doing that. Absolutely.
We've got a proven track record,
Yes.
not only with the grant writing, but in being able to deliver. And so, it's really important that we finish managing those and administering those for what they were intended. I mean, we just got another $350,000 grant yesterday. We got a $1 million grant from the DOJ a couple of months ago. Only 3 awarded in the entire country. And that's for encouraging innovation in policing. And again, it's a prevention program for auto theft that'll be bringing together. And you mentioned social media and young people. We'll actually be working with some of our PAL kids on a campaign to, hopefully encourage our youth not to steal vehicles, but because there's the whole TikTok Kia challenge.
Yeah. There's a TikTok challenge to steal cars.
Kias.
Get out of here.
I own a Kia.
See, I am too old. I don't know
Yes.
nothing about that.
That's okay.
So you debated Daria this week. This week?
Yeah, it wasn't really much of a debate. We talked separately. We were never talking at it or with each
To
other.
each other.
We were asked a question, and there was 3 of us being interviewed, and they just go down and ask a question to each of us,
Yeah.
and then go back the other way again. And
How did you feel about that?
I mean, I felt very good because I basically talked about what I want to do, what I've done, and what I want to do, and tried to make that clear. And it seemed to be very well accepted from some feedback I've had since that aired. Yes.
Why should you still be mayor?
Because number one,
I'm out of questions. That's why I'm asking that.
that's okay. No problem. You can ask
And we have
anything.
another minute and a half to fill. So.
That's okay. Why should I still be mayor? Because of the experience I have, number one. Number 2, the team I've built is incredible. When I first took office, I said, I might be able to do 20% of this by myself. Within a couple of weeks, I changed it I went down to less than 5% by myself because you can't do it. There's a lot to know, a lot to be doing. And we've got a great team.
Yeah.
They work well with me. They listen to me. I listen to them. And I usually do exactly what they want to do. It makes good sense. So we move forward. And Renee is the hardest working one of all. She's incredible. I don't think she ever sleeps at night, to be honest.
I've wondered that myself. And it's not unique to you guys. I mean, I think they're just, and more people in your age group, Renee, I see in this city, lots of young women
Yes.
who are dynamos, who are working tirelessly to make the city a better place. So I'm glad you have some of that energy on your team as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And that brings us to the end of the show. I am so glad you came in.
Thank you.
I am not a journalist. I'm not one of those people that's going to hold your feet to the fire. But I think I think what's important, especially nationally, is getting a sense of the character of the people that you have option to have as your leaders. And I think character is fundamental to good leadership, and so people will take away from this what they will, but I think they've gotten an opportunity to get a sense of your character, which is fundamental to me. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on Next 2.0.
That's all for our show today. Tune in next time for more discussion and analysis with local and national guests. Remember that Next 2.0 streams on Fridays on all major podcast platforms and the fourth Sunday of the month at 4 p.m. on WQLN PBS NPR, which is 91.3 FM. If you want to leave a message, comment, or suggestion for the show, call the Next hotline at 814-240-8816. We look forward to hearing from you. I am Marcus Atkinson. Come and join us again so that you can hear about what's next for our communities and our democracy. Peace.